not late.
Oh shit.
And then I'll tell you that you're lying. I've been using this as well lately. I've actually jumped off of StreamYard, and this is
Yeah.
so much better. Oh my
What's up, folks? The SEC Connect is here. You got myself, you got Ty, you got Jay from Unfair Sports. I think Steven's out today with a work, engagement. Chris will be on a little late. He has some daddy duty going on. But guess what, folks? We're going to be here. We're going to talk about the Week 1 results and just have just a little recap of what we thought happened here in Week 1 for the SEC. Fellas, what's going on, man?
Happy Wednesday.
Happy hump day. All right, but folks, look, we got a strict hour timeline because we got other shows to do tonight too, folks. We are some busy ass individuals today. So we're gonna go ahead and get into this, man.
Do I get to laugh at LSU yet?
Not yet. We're gonna get there. We're gonna get there, Ty. All right, man. Let's take a look.
I get to laugh at Florida first.
Oh, yeah, Florida first. Florida versus Utah, man. Utah put the pause on Florida, man. 24-11. Utah was starting their backup quarterback, who so happened to be a walk-on. Graham Mertz looked like Graham Mertz. Fellas, Jay, I'm gonna start with you on this one, man.
Man,
what you thinking about Florida, man?
Look, man, I got a buddy that's a FSU guy, and we chit-chatted and laughed about this game because Florida, Billy Napier is going to figure something out, man. He's going to get himself put in a situation where they're going to fire him because look at it this way. They had Anthony Richardson last year, and I think they had a pretty solid squad, but they finished what? What was their record last year? Wasn't very good.
Was it 6
and 6? Now he went out and got Mertz. You know who they wish they had? A guy that's a quarterback down at Arizona State named Jaden Rashada.
Ooh,
I bet you they wish they had that dude playing right now because he balled out for them.
Balled out.
I bet you they're calling DJ Lagway right now saying, hey, man, can you go ahead and find a way to get all your credits by Saturday so that we can have you play this week? I'm just saying, Mertz looked awful.
He did.
Everything about Florida was bad in that game, and they let Utah beat them without Cam Rising. The future is bright for the Utes. Going into the Big 12, y'all are going to be fun to watch. Like I'm now eyeballing you all, especially when we get closer to the Holy War next year. We're here.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Florida's done. Florida, boy, they got a lot of stuff to fix. And I saw somewhere someone mentioned that Wisconsin admitted that they felt like they was using Mertz wrong. And I guess Florida's doing the same thing because it just don't look right. It just don't look right. Just tell me if I'm wrong, but it just didn't look right.
Oh man. Ty, what about you, man?
Oh, Ty, you muted.
Oh, he's muted.
He's muted.
Ty.
My word. It's been a long day.
You feel like Florida right there.
I feel like, look, I'm giving y'all an example of what not to do, which is exactly what Florida did, right? I'm just trying to spread it around. Stephen, thank you, by the way, as well. But Jay, you were kind enough to clip something from a show of mine on Florida. And it was one of my requirements to play offensive line for Billy Napier and the Florida Gators. Do you move like you have feet stuck in cement? If the answer is yes, go on ahead. Guys, it was tough to watch, like on every level, because typically when we talk Utah, the story is the Utah Utes were so disciplined, they found a way to win the game. And I don't want to diminish from what Utah did. They were the same Kyle Whittingham coach team we've seen time and time again. By the way, 8 starters out. 8 their best 2 offensive players out. Their best defensive player out. Their best safety went down during the game, and they still made it look easy, right? The story isn't the disciplined Utah Utes. It's certainly part of it. The story is the undisciplined Florida Gators gave Utah every opportunity in the book. And you know what, Nino? You said Graham Mertz was Graham Mertz, but I got to be honest, man. Graham Mertz did everything he could have possibly done, right? Like the young man, he had no help. That running game that I've talked about, we've all heard so much about. I still like the running backs, but with no offensive line, what are they to do? They didn't get any separation at wide receiver. The offensive line may as well. It looked like the longest yard scene where they figure out that he's in with the the prison warden, and they just
Yep.
let the guys go. That's exactly what it looked like.
Yeah.
You would have thought Graham Mertz stole the original Book of Mormon or something, the way the Utes were coming. I mean, it was something to behold. Florida's in a lot of trouble.
Look here, man. What got me about this Florida game, like you said, Graham Mertz didn't have a bad line. He had 300 and something yards or so passing.
333. Yeah,
Dude,
333.
they rushed for 13 yards. Now I know that accounts for the sack yardage too.
Oh,
which
it'd
I
still
hate
be
how-
less than 50.
Yeah. You know, I hate how college does that with the sack yardage, but still,
Just give him 30 yards. That's 33 yards.
yeah, man. 21 rushes for 13 yards. Really? That is not what we're used to seeing here in Florida, man. Well, maybe Florida of late we are used to seeing that, but dude, it's sad to see, and to see Billy Napier not be who we thought he was going to be once he came up, man. It just shows there's a difference when you're coming from Group of Five up to the Power Five. The way that you have to recruit, the way that you have to build your staff. Texas kind of realized that with a guy like Tom Herman. You know, like, yes, he was on staffs at Power Fives, but he had his own as a Group of Five. And when you have the open checkbook to go build the staff that you need to build, you better do it, because this might be the only shot you got for a long time. I was surprised, man. I thought they're going to be a little bit more competitive than that.
But he won double-digit games at Louisiana, which ain't easy to do. Like,
I know.
even as a group, 11-3, 10-1, 12-1. Like,
Yeah.
And then, I mean, he worked at Alabama as an analyst and wide receiver coach for years. Arizona
Fantastic
State,
wide receiver coach.
Clemson, exactly. I mean, I remember those receivers from 13 to 16.
Yeah.
Like, he knows what he's doing, but it's just amazing that it just hasn't translated here. And I know, granted, he has a really good class this year, especially, like I said, led by DJ Lackway, the number 3 class on 3. Overall, they've got a top 5 potential class coming through with the 22 commits they have, but once all these big fish start to fall, I mean, I don't know where they're going to end up ranking, but they still have a lot of players coming. The question is can they keep Billy Napier there? I hope Florida gives them one more year. Granted, they are in the SEC, so I can tell it's going to be a lot more work to really try to bring them back to prominence and also clean up things in the organization itself.
Yeah.
But man, that was just a poor executed game plan in general. Next week we got to see what they got to look like.
Yeah, Surfer Boy, Napier seat is in inferno right now.
I can't disagree.
I can't disagree.
I
either.
can't, because here's the thing, guys. We saw Brent Venables come to Oklahoma and start the rebuild, right? Cool.
Yep.
We saw Coach Prime go to Colorado and start the rebuild. I can give you so many examples. Dan Lanning didn't have to do a major rebuild when he inherited Oregon. He had some pieces, but even then, they hit the transfer portal, got some. Napier is doing the rebuild in year 2.
That's sad.
So if you're doing the rebuild in year 2, at what point is the bright line, right? At what point do these boosters need to wait to start reaping the benefits of their investment? Is it 4 years? Is it? And that's the part where I really worry for Napier, because he came in there, took the first year, decided to rebuild in the second year, and it's like, okay, well, now you're signifying that you need, 2 years, 3 years? And Jay, you're 100% right. Their recruiting class is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Have you seen the linebackers they have in that class? I mean, they have some dudes all up and down that class.
See, this
But
is
how
what
long?
James right here, right? No, and you're right, Ty. And James pointed out the one thing that's getting me. You have like 100 people on your staff. How the hell did nobody know that you had 2 dudes on the field with the same number? Like,
That's
how did you not know this? That's something that you have an analyst on the side that pays attention. That's the little bit of attention to detail that you have to be successful at the Power 5 level. You've got to be meticulous with that. And to me, Ty, I think, and I mean, Nick, as you mentioned it as well, they're starting the rebuild in year 2. And I think the rebuild is starting in year 2 because the pieces that you would traditionally have at year 2, an Anthony Richardson left. He went top 5 in the draft because he had all the physical attributes to be a dominant quarterback or potential NFL quarterback, and they just didn't use it right. The offensive line play like they're in cement. So there's so many things that he has to clean up. And I guess it seems like he didn't realize that he needed to clean that up, even though that's the first thing you should have noticed as a coach.
So, you know, guys, this is a really good comment by Odd Future. This
Yeah,
is
I can
Charlie
see Charlie
Strong
Strong
vibes.
vibes.
that.
Yeah.
This is really like Charlie Strong vibes, man. Charlie came in to clean up the program. He tried to initially do it, but he really didn't do it until year 2, year 3. The one thing that got me with Charlie in year 2, we kept hearing about a new offense that was going to come in, and a new offense, and it never came in. That first game, after that first game, he demoted the offensive coordinator
Ooh.
after game 1. So it's like, what the hell do we do all offseason? This is the kind of vibes that I'm getting here at Florida is you understood your quarterback position. You knew Anthony, you knew AR was gone. You knew you had Jalen Rashada there. Anything that you could have did within your grasp, you needed to keep that kid on the roster because you knew what you had behind him. And I'm not saying things would have been better with him there because that team was just bad all the way around. But you can at least say that we're building on the future. And you can't even say that with Graham Mertz. You can't. So I don't know, man. It's tough, man. Tough sledding for him.
I got a question for both of you, and I have a question for all of the viewers. You're all brand new college football fans. Let me set the stage. Let me be your guide through the evening, right?
Here we go.
If you'll all allow me. You're all brand new college football fans. Me as your guide into college football fandom tell you that the SEC prides themselves on a few things, but most of all, it's the ability to dominate at the line of scrimmage, relentless effort, which leads to relentless results, violence at the point of attack. That's what the SEC holds itself out to be. Mm-hmm. Now we fast forward to game 1, Florida versus Utah. And I've told you this whole time that the SEC prides itself on this physical dominance. They pride themselves on being the more athletic brand through relentless effort. I don't tell you of Utah and Florida, which is the SEC team. At the end of the game, I ask all of you, the beautiful viewers, and Jay and Nick, who is the SEC team, Utah or Florida?
One of them looked like something the other one didn't look like. So it is what it is. Man.
Valid point. I can't even argue.
Horrible game. I think we're both, or not both. I think all three of us are kind of, in the same thing here is that Florida got out dominated across the board, everywhere on the field, offense and defense. Utah 100%. Missing 8 starters, still came in and did their damn thing. So I think we've talked about these dudes enough. I'm going to scroll down. I'm not even talking about the Missouri-South Dakota game. I think they did what they're supposed to do. I think we all thought that they were going to win this game, and it's not the premier big matchups that we saw. Georgia, UT Martin. All right, Carson Beck. It was his first game, his first showing. We kind of figured this was going to happen.
I'm not buying the social media worry on Georgia either, by the way.
Me neither. Dude,
I mean,
it's Georgia. They got
Same
thing with Bama, 56-7 against Middle Tennessee. Yeah, Bama did their thing. One thing I will say is very, very happy for Jalen Milroe to see him complete those deep balls. I just hope he doesn't do it this Saturday against Texas. But, I am a Jalen Milroe fan. Texas fans don't hate me. When he came out of high school, out of Katy, everybody knows he was committed to Texas at first. We get Quinn Ewers and he decommits and he goes to Alabama, and Sark actually recruited him there. Sark got him there, if I'm not mistaken. He recruited him.
Yeah, sure.
Look, Jalen Milroe looked damn good. He looked damn good. Ball placement was outstanding. So yeah, I'm excited for him.
One thing I will say, because I saw this, they said, oh, well, if you take away his first read, that requires you magically knowing what the first read is.
Exactly. That's
so
nonsense talk.
Cool, but it's not a game of Madden, right?
Yeah.
Where the route is highlighted. That's it. It's still going to be a phenomenal game this Saturday.
It is. It's going to be awesome. So that's probably going to highlight what we talk about next week. So we'll skip through Bama. The Tennessee game, Jay, I know that you want to speak about Joe Milton. I wish Chris was on. How about this?
I would love Chris to be here.
Let's wait till Chris gets on, and we'll talk about the Tennessee game. Okay.
Oh, can we talk about this next game?
Yes, we got to talk about the North Carolina South Carolina game.
Because next week is going to be Austin Peay. It's not going to be a good game.
No. Chris is coming on tonight. He
ain't coming on tonight. He ain't going to be here. He ain't have on time. But anyway, we'll go on from Tennessee. Just know that Joe Milton did what he was supposed to.
I'll serve as Chris if we get back there. I don't know what I'm going to say. I'll figure it out.
Exactly.
This North Carolina South Carolina game, no.
This one was awesome. This was a good game, a really tight game at halftime too. Spencer Rattler, man. You
Yeah.
guys know Spencer played his ass off.
He played great.
He played awesome. He played like a man on a mission. The problem was nobody else on this team decided to play. And here is the man of the hour, Chris with a freaking K. We left the Tennessee Virginia game. We're going to come back to that one once you got on. You guys want to? Hey, how about that? Let's go back to the Tennessee game right now.
No.
We've opened Pandora's box.
Okay,
I'm already itching.
Guys, like
we're talking Spencer Rattler right now. So let's dive into Spencer Rattler.
Spencer Rattler played his ass off.
Wait, we're talking about that. We're not talking about the obvious, or we're just recapping.
Yeah, we're going through every game already. We're going through the games now. We're going through the games.
All right.
So yeah, we're talking about this one. But and Nick, as you mentioned in this game, Spencer went out there and did what he could do. He did as much as he possibly could, and that team wasn't there to help him. That's what it looked like. Like everybody else on the team was just like, nah, I think we good. I'm not sure if we actually want to play in this game. And it looked like it. And Drake May went out there and oh boy, he wants that Heisman, and Mac Brown wants it for him too.
Did y'all see whenever South Carolina would be doing some stuff trying to confuse him with the linebackers, like when they'd show pressure and bring it, he was just so calm and he'd just dink it to the tight end right in the middle where the linebackers just left. And I was just like, man, this is fun stuff.
He was surgical.
He was great.
He was
surgical.
Those turnovers were not so well, but
yeah. That was
one
thing I wanted to talk about. Yeah.
My biggest takeaway from the game is simply the offensive coordinator for South Carolina. South Carolina lost a lot, and it seems like they didn't gain a lot. So they lost a lot. But my biggest takeaway from the game is how the hell do you sit in a press box and call plays and not see that your offensive line is incapable of protecting probably obviously to me your best player on your team. I just don't get it. You have to do something in that game. That's what I was scared for coming into the season with Rattler, was the fact that Rattler would go out there. Granted, he didn't throw any touchdowns. He didn't throw any interceptions. Mm-hmm. Rattler can put up phenomenal numbers. I still will say it, and I still stand by it. I will die on this hill. I think he has the most talented arm in the nation. But at the same time, that can only get you so far when you don't have an offensive line. As you've seen, if you want to talk about the whole, let's call it the Riley effect, right? Right now, it's on display right now because of Clemson. But if you go back to his struggles with Lincoln Riley, if you really dive deep into it, is because Lincoln Riley's offensive lines regressed an awful lot, especially after Smitty left. Jay, hopefully you'll back me up on that point. So with that being said, you add that in with Spencer Rattler, who's a dynamic passer, but it's not a dynamic athlete like you had with Kyler or Jalen Hurts, or even just a willing rush runner like you had in Baker. It spells for disaster because he doesn't have that escape artist feature to him on Madden, right? He doesn't have that. He's a pocket quarterback. Let's just be real. But yeah, Spencer Rattler doesn't have any help. The offensive line is going to be hard. The run game, all the rest of that. They have some questions. They have some serious holes. Will they be competitive with a lot of teams? Yes. Will they be bowl eligible? I believe so, but it's going to take some work to get that, because this is more than just a patchwork job. This is every day we have to figure out schematically how we're going to keep him upright, because 9 sacks in one game that's ridiculous.
One thing I do want to bring up.
North Carolina, and last thing I'll say, North Carolina's defense is not 9 sack good. It's just not. It's 9 sacks in a season, yeah. 9 sacks in one game, they're not that good.
Yeah, that was all South Carolina giving up all of that, just giving up all that booty. So, we just want to just move past that portion of it. That's all it was, man. They just were not good in this game. And I don't think what they're going to look like this season. What was their over-under? Does anybody remember?
7, I think. No, yes, 6.5.
Okay.
6.5 or 7.5, one of the two. But look here, man. This is what got me about the game. All right. If I take out Spencer's numbers for his rushes and his yards, I'm checking the stats out now. You're looking at 18 carries, for 18 carries for 20 yards.
Jesus Christ.
Let it be
20
known that when we picked the schedules, I had South Carolina going 6-6 this year.
Yeah, and I think I had them 7-5.
Yeah, the
I
6.5
believe so.
was their over/under set.
Yeah, so it was 6.5. Look, man, if you take out Spencer's numbers, 18 rushes for 20 yards. That's what that right there should tell you exactly what Chris was saying about the offensive line. You got a guy with some of the best arm talent in the freaking country, right? And he is behind an offensive line that can't do a damn thing for him or open lanes for those running backs. So it's just a Spencer Rattler show. But one thing I will say about Spencer, though, Chris, on this is the Spencer of old at Oklahoma in stressful situations like that would have probably broke down.
Yeah.
We're seeing the maturation process of Spencer Rattler in front of us now, even though it's not in a winning cause, but we're seeing him mentally grow up to be a guy who can let a play go and go to the next play and still be successful. So I think that's a positive for him.
Yeah. No, it's definitely a positive for him. Look, the thing about it is guys like him, he could be put in that category this year because he's going to definitely take a country boy ass whipping. But when you look at Cam Rising and the Michael Pratts of the world, that's what they do. They're good. They're great college quarterbacks, probably Purdy-like, Purdy tier type of NFL quarterbacks where they may get drafted low, but may give you a rise like a Gardner Minshew, something like that. But they're guys that they will take a hit and they're going to get right back up. But they show you that maturation process each through and through of that. Hey, I can stay in the pocket and I can take a lick, but I can also deliver a touchdown and all the rest of that. But I think Spencer Rattler is going to be fine during the year. But I think that for him this year, in my opinion, this year isn't necessarily even about the win. It's just really about draft stock. It's about showing that maturation process to the scouts that, hey, look, at one point in time, I was considered to be the number one pick. I'm still around. I know I'm in a loaded draft class, but you get me, you're getting a damn good value. So,
Exactly.
Guys, I just wanted to point this out. I got curious, right? And so I'm going to do this. I was curious, Chris, you were talking about the North Carolina sacks, right? And you were talking about how you thought they were a 9-sack team maybe all year. So I'm right here counting.
They're not.
Well, not this year, but let me set the stage. They were awful in sacks last year.
yeah.
They had 15.5 sacks last year. They had 9. They were not a good defensive front. Like, if I'm setting the stage, it's not good. Like,
Wow. Godly. That's what you're laughing at, Ty?
That's why I was over here just like in tears laughing. And I've recounted it so many times, and I'm going to recount it again because I'm convinced my math is off. There's no way.
It's got to be out somewhere.
I have to be the problem.
You got to be the problem.
I mean, because look, here's the funny part of it. Okay, North Carolina looked like that against South Carolina this past weekend. Now we all and look, I'm sure that we all pretty much expect it to be another shootout yet again this Saturday whenever Appalachian State comes to town, comes to Chapel Hill. So I mean, we'll get to kind of see exactly are they better this year, or was that just the fact that offensive line for South Carolina is curbside pickup from Dairy Queen on a Saturday? I mean, what like,
oh man! All right.
I was wrong. They had 17 sacks last year, not 15.
I just looked it up. They had 17s.
Wow.
I'm sorry. They got more than half of their entire year's production.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That is crazy.
In one game, man.
That's crazy. All right, I think we've given enough talk about this, man. I think what we need to do now is we need to go to Chris's favorite,
Christ's mercy.
Guy in college football.
Give the people what they want.
Tennessee versus Virginia, 49-13. I want to let Chris and Jay just kind of duke this one out.
Yeah.
Ty, we can sit this one out.
Yeah. I'm good. I'm good. I'm a conscientious observer, muting myself.
So Jay, what you want to do, man? What you want to
I
do?
said I'm just gonna mute myself and sit back. And Nick over here laughing still because he knows he got to enjoy these jokes.
What? No,
But I
I'm just
want to
saying. What you want to
understand,
do?
Chris. Chris,
What
you
you
tell
want to
me.
do?
You
Because
tell me how you
really,
felt. How
I
you
don't
felt
want
about
to
Joe
talk
Milton.
about this trash. I don't.
Wow, that's what we're
Because
doing here.
and you know what? This is what I have to say. Joe Milton, the only apology that I'm going to give you is simply this. I'm sorry that your receivers seem to they can't catch. Obviously, I don't know what's going on with that, but I'm not going to sit here and say that this is a great win. First off, Tony Elliott is the coach for them. That is enough. We first play, one of the first plays they ran was a sprint run. I said that's well, this is game. That's it. Second thing I would say is shout out to Virginia for actually showing up, playing this game, and with everything that's going on off the field. The fact that Tennessee fans want to sit here and gloat, it's just trash. Like it was a mediocre performance all around. It was okay. It was fine. I saw the deep throws, all the rest of that stuff.
You saw the accuracy. You saw how it was hitting it right in the hand, as it was like right there on point.
It was mid at
You
best.
saw how beautifully touched.
It was mid at best. It was
mid.
So-
It was mid. Okay.
Hey, Jay, one thing I will say, okay, because I know Chris, he's going to say, well, if he was the man so long, what took him so long? I used to say the same thing about Joe Burrow. I'm not saying it's going to be Joe Burrow, but Joe Burrow spent about 90 years in college, and he did not look good in any of his years previous to that, to that 2019 season.
Correct.
When he got married up with the right offensive coordinator, we saw this man have fireworks. Now, I'm not saying Milton's going to be Joe Burrow. I'm not saying that at all. Joe Burrow had one of the best seasons that we've ever seen from a quarterback in college football history, but he was a mid player until his last season of college football.
Yeah. And that's my point with all of this. I don't understand the hate that Chris has for Joe Milton, in which Joe Milton got here from Tennessee after he left Michigan. And if you think about it, go look at the Michigan quarterbacks they've had over the last few years. What has they done at quarterback? Like literally, just think about it. What development have you seen from an actual former NFL quarterback when it comes to the players he's put on his staff?
College football playoffs. That's all I got to say. JJ McCarthy, don't disrespect, please.
Okay, so I'm going to repeat myself. Can we go back and look at all the quarterbacks that they've had? And you tell me, because remember, JJ's a 5-star quarterback and he's barely throwing the ball. They're running it down everybody's throat. That's kind of the MO. And we have a former NFL quarterback who is the head coach. You would have thought that development at quarterback would have been better. We're not getting that. Now, JJ McCarthy, as I mentioned, is a 5-star that is now starting to shine a year later. But we didn't get that from K. McNamara. We didn't get that from any other quarterbacks before. Neither with Joe Milton. The struggle has been the development there. So Joe comes down to a coach and an offensive coordinator and a quarterback coach, two of them who are former Sooner quarterbacks that has shown ability to develop a quarterback that have been displaced or discarded by other teams. Hendon Hooker is one good example, and Hendon was there to help mentor him, and you see the touch looks great on him. The best part about Joe Milton is he's huge.
Yeah.
He's a big dude. He can run people over, and he's just using that rocket and making the magic happen.
Jay, how old are you?
I'm 40 years old.
You don't look 40, my guy. You know that. You sound you like if I had to put an age on you, I'd say probably like 34, 33 or so like that. But even at 40 years old, my point with this all is just simply this right here. At 40 years old, you think that you'd be able to go out there in intramural football against a bunch of 18 and 19-year-old kids and be able to read coverages, and prey on their mistakes. What I'm trying to say is, Jay, is that hey, look, he's a day late, dollar short. Hey, I'm not buying it. Okay. I've seen him. I've seen the highlights. I've seen the highlights in Michigan coming here. I just don't believe. Don't believe.
You don't have to believe. My point is, when you get a quarterback, just as Nick just said, you get a quarterback and you place him in a situation where he actually has development.
Okay.
Things can happen.
That's when you start seeing something different out of him.
I want to see it. I want to see it. I want to see more from him against actual. Let's wait till the SEC. Okay.
I'll put it like this right here. He did it against Clemson.
I'll put it like, okay, Clemson. After what you just seen, stop, Jay.
Clemson's defense last year, man, they put how many people in the league?
Yeah, but let's be honest. Even like this game against Duke, Clemson's defense was not
Defense
the
was
reason.
not the
It
issue.
was not the
Your
issue.
defense
Clemson's
is not the problem.
Balled out.
Yeah,
They
that
just got
defense
sick
was
and
not
tired.
the problem.
They just got
Going
sick
back
and
into mute.
tired. You know,
Look,
they were like,
all,
you done.
all I'm saying is this: I'm
Love
going to wait.
that.
I'm going to
Anyway.
wait until SEC action. I don't care what he does against Virginia or Austin P. I'm waiting for SEC action.
I mean, and that's fair. And I'm not going to even discount that. That's fair. My point goes back to one thing is that I don't see a reason to hate on this young man when he's looking a lot better than he did when he first got there. That's all I got to say. But go ahead, Nick. I'm done.
Man.
I'm
We're
off
going
the
to
stage.
table this because Chris will go back and forth from this. But one comment that I want to talk about here, ML, great comment here, man. Battled cancer all spring, dealt with surgery and 3 rounds of chemo, cancer-free on June 29th. Promised my brother that we go to Tuscaloosa this weekend. We're getting that win. I hope you're a Texas guy because we getting that win. But ML, I will be there too. If you see me, man, tap me on the shoulder and I'll buy you a beer, brother.
What you going for?
Huh?
That's awesome, man.
What you going for?
Oh, I'm going to the game.
I said, what you going for?
I'm going for the dub. What you talking about?
All right.
I'm going
Nick.
for the dub, like in the,
All right, Nick.
hey man, like in the Cotton Bowl last year. I went for that dub
That's
too.
fine.
49
All right,
bro.
Nick. Okay, Nick.
Hey, man, you keep opening it up, Chris. You got to stop opening up that door, man.
No.
We talking about this year.
All right, here we go, guys. All right, I'm not going to talk about Mercer and Ole Miss. I don't even know
Why
why they
would
play
you do
Mercer.
that to yourself? Well, I mean, Alabama plays Mercer every year, too. That's
I
the gimme game.
I know. It is what it is. Texas A&M and New Mexico.
Yeah, they're just warming them up for us.
Yeah, it's the traditional SEC warm-up game. You just
Come on now.
We got
Hey.
Texas don't play. Y'all got it next year too.
Hey,
Yeah,
y'all got
I guess so. We're gonna
Get,
We
get
all got
acquainted
'em.
with Mercer.
Hey,
You'll
Yeah.
know 'em.
Texas A&M. I will say this right here. I think that game this weekend is a toss up between them and Miami.
You think?
Not,
It's gonna be a fun game.
No,
it's a toss up. It's simply because correct me if I'm wrong, Ty. Tyler Van Dyke is still the quarterback there in Miami, right?
100%. 100%.
Okay. Because when I
Inferior,
saw
right?
him, I watched their game and I said to myself, man, it's like he's just regressed all of a sudden. Like even against I forgot what team they were playing, but even against that team, he was just throwing. I mean, he was just throwing whatever. But Texas A&M looked explosive in this game against New Mexico, but I mean, then again, it is New Mexico, but they looked explosive. They looked like they should, but I just guess on the road at Miami, can they actually do that? Well, hell, be honest with you, it's a neutral site game, as ain't no Miami fans going to that game.
yeah.
That's
Did
fair.
you see that they were doing a buy one get one?
Yeah.
Were they?
Get free tickets to the Georgia Tech game if you go. To this.
I kind of feel like that's because ain't nobody trying to see Georgia Tech get blasted by Miami, but I get the jokes that they think it's the A&M game. It's funny as hell, but it's like, yeah, you got to convince if the game people want to go to is the A&M game, so you got to kind of get them to buy the.
Yeah.
I don't disagree, Jay. But when do they sell that stadium out?
Ever. No. Well, that's the thing about it. Miami fans are no different than
Orange
a
Bowl.
USC fan. It's really on their fair weather. If you're
Fair
winning, they'll sell it out. If you
they
ain't
got too
winning,
much stuff
ain't
to do.
nobody-
They got
there's
too much
stuff to do on those coasts.
Now,
Thanks, Nick.
all right. So one thing that I do want to ask, though, Ty, let me know your thoughts on this. Once you saw that game, who do you think had control of that offense?
Ooh, that's a good question.
I don't actually know yet. I didn't watch this game fully through. I actually just caught highlights of it. But I am encouraged by Weichman, right? Like the fact that he looks more sure of himself. And I think I'm encouraged by that because I am so high on their wide receiver core. But I didn't watch. I wanted to talk about this game so much because that was on my rewatch for today, but I got tied up rewatching both Texas's game and Bama's game before this morning. I wanted to hear y'all's analysis on this because I just saw a brief portion of this game as it was on the 4 screen. So not enough to where I feel good enough calling who is calling the plays.
Go ahead. I mean, Jay, I feel like I'm just.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say I felt like it was Petrino from some of the highlights, and then when I watched a little bit of the game because I had to get back to this case I was working on. But when I was looking at that today, I was just skimming across it. I was like, man, it looks like Petrino because Wyman he's just letting it loose. That's
Yeah.
not a
Yeah.
Petrino. I mean, in my opinion, that's not a
Some Jimbo.
Jimbo. It wasn't a Jimbo. It just didn't feel like a Jimbo game. It didn't feel concise and precise and them just trying to work here, work there. It felt like, yeah, hey, let's try to be explosive. We got some athletes. Let's get it to them. And so I just saw some. It just seemed different. And then some of the Jimbo, in my opinion, I kind of group him in like that Scott Frost and Gus Malzahn type of coach, where there's some components of his offense where it just feels so damn gadgety. Like it's
Mhm.
this guy you got it's just a lot. It's a lot of different working parts that have to work at the right time for the plays to happen. And I didn't see that. I didn't get that feel. I just saw Weidman just he read the defense and he just made quick reads and he made the right decisions with the football, and I felt like this feels like a Petrino offense.
See, I
Honest-
didn't see enough to say who was calling the plays. I saw enough to think that they're going to beat Miami.
Yeah, I do too.
It felt like for me that it was like watching Lamar Jackson without the running.
Yeah.
He's in the pocket. He was throwing the ball. He was pointing it. So it felt like a Petrino setup. It felt like he was there. Boom, 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 boom. Make your reads and go. It didn't feel like Chris mentioned exactly that there's a lot of moving parts with what Jimbo Fisher has done in the past or whoever his offensive coordinator was. It did feel like he was more of a pro style offense. So kind of give it to Petrino on this one.
Yeah, I actually liked it, man. Yeah, it has to be Bobby Petrino. So just going back and looking at the stats here, they haven't scored 52 points in the game in over 3 years. I
Exactly.
think, so you just think
Yeah,
last
that
year,
answers the question.
yeah, so they played Sam Houston State last year and UMass last year, and it was 23-0 against UMass, I think, and 30-3 or something like that against Sam Houston State. And those are like their gimme games. And so, for them to have a gimme game here and put up 52, I think that kind of tells us it's probably Bobby Petrino.
Can I say one thing? One game that pokes out that stands out in my mind that I literally can't get this game out of my mind was I think it was Kellen Mond's last year or his second to last year. Is one of those where they played Clemson, and you're sitting there saying, "Man, y'all can win this game, but you got to get rid of Jimbo." And the reason why I kept saying that is because I was like, Kellen Mond could have been better than what he actually was, and he could have been more consistent. But the problem was that Jimbo had Kellen Mond, who is, I'm not gonna say he's a Lamar Jackson or any type of athlete like that, but he had a really good athlete playing quarterback. He had him thinking way too much. And the offense, it was just all these moving parts, this and that. Whenever he would just let him just, hey, one read or, this and that, let's just get everything going, just fast, it worked. But whenever they slowed down or the game came down to, possession battles or whatnot, he just started thinking way too much. Interception, 3 and out, interception. Score a touchdown, get within striking distance, but then here we go back again doing the same thing. So, that's kind of what I have seen as far as being like a Jimbo Fisher offense / downfall. And that's the game that sticks out in my mind. And when I compare that game as the litmus test to this one, I'm just like, nah, that was Petrino all the way.
Yep, exactly. All right. I think we spent enough on A&M and New Mexico.
Yeah.
We got Kentucky and Ball State. You guys want to talk about them? Yeah.
I was impressed with Larry, but I think that pretty much covers it.
Yeah. Same here. It's Ball State. Arkansas and Western Carolina. Nah, I mean, I like KJ. He looked good. But, I mean, it's Western Carolina. Right?
Now, do we have any injury update on Rocket Sanders?
I'm not sure.
Ooh, I haven't seen
that's unfortunate.
Yeah, man.
Incredibly.
Let's see, Rocket Sanders.
He's unknown right now for week 2.
Unknown. Damn. Yeah.
Latest status 9 minutes ago, he's out.
Damn. And it's against Kent, right?
Little bit of swell at Kent State. Yeah, it's Kent State. And they don't have Sean Lewis. Right. Yeah, Jinx, you owe me a soda.
Yeah, right.
Definitely. We knew exactly. Yeah, no Sean Lewis. That's going to be a completely different setup, but looks like he has a little bit of swelling on his knee, and so he's going to be out. This is what the last article I've seen from 9 minutes ago.
All right, Auburn, Massachusetts. Okay, they look good. Hugh Freeze, his
Hmm.
offense. Chris's favorite quarterback. Thorne's over there playing.
That's
He's putting
Chris's
up
favorite
points.
team.
That boy
Yeah.
He's
is a
like he's a
bum.
South Carolina and Auburn fan. It's crazy.
That boy is a bum. Tell me, Ty, I put it in your chat the other day on
I saw you.
yeah, I
saw
said,
you.
hey man, why did Robbie look better? Why did Robbie Ashford look better than Peyton out there, man?
All that matters is that he trots out Peyton Thorne when they play Alabama. That's all that matters to me. Trot out Peyton Thorne. Go ahead. Go on ahead. Trot him out there.
You got ulterior motives here for Ty. All right, Mississippi State and Southeast Louisiana. Yeah, as expected. I was happy for Mississippi State to get that
100%.
win, though. Very happy for
100%.
him after the,
Same.
So yeah, man. After the Pirates gone,
And Vandy, baby, 2-0.
Vandy's 2-0. Alabama A&M, kind of highway robbery there. All right.
Of course,
Hey,
they pay for the wins.
the only thing about Vanderbilt is this right here. Defense has to just keep them has to give the defense has to basically get enough stops for that offense. That offense can do some work, man. Will Shepherd is a guy. And they got some real weapons. They got some legit weapons on that offense.
But that defense is a problem.
That
It
defense
is. They almost let
have
Hawaii
some
come
legit
back on them in the
weapons.
fourth quarter, So
Yeah.
that was a tough game. All right,
Yeah.
this is the one I think everybody wants to talk about, man.
This is
This is it. We got 15
The only game
minutes.
to talk about.
Yeah, 15 minutes, 20 minutes to talk about this one. LSU, Florida State. Florida State demolishes LSU 45-24. What are you guys' thoughts on this? Ty, you want to start this one off, man?
I'll start it off because I picked Florida State to win this game, though I did not anticipate it would look like that. But one of the big reasons, actually, I'll give you two of the big reasons, and one of them really reared its ugly head early, and the other one reared its head in the second half. But the first half was the lack of a traditional run game from LSU. Guys, when you get down into the red zone, it gets a lot more difficult to throw the football. You're in a condensed space, which means if, theoretically, the defense is in zone, each zone that the man is responsible for is so much smaller than if they were on the opposing 20 with 80 yards in front of them. All of your assigned space is much more limited, making it, in theory, easier. As your defense, whenever LSU got down to the red zone time and time and time again, you could tell Florida State didn't even care as to the running back. They were worried about one person running the football, and that was Jaden Daniels, and they hemmed that up. Now, the second thing that I thought was problematic is this is not your grandma's LSU. When I mean that is the DBU moniker that they had earned, I don't think that's going to be this group, guys. I'm not saying they're going to be bad, but that's not going to be the DBU, right? Mm-hmm. Whenever Nebraska's defense handed back in the black shirts, they weren't an awful defense, but they weren't the black shirt defense. This isn't DBU. They had to repatch this defensive backfield up in the transfer portal. J.K. Johnson gets hurt. The Denver Harris situation is completely up in the air. They need help in that defensive backfield, and they played a team in Florida State who, guys, how is Keon Coleman not called by every college in America? He is a true difference maker. Like, game-breaking ability. He got it however he wanted it, and that's not new. Go back and watch what he did at Michigan State. It was the same. He is a game breaker at the wide receiver position.
He's a baller.
That was my takeaway.
Jay?
I, like Ty, had Florida State winning this game. I also have Florida State being a playoff contender this year. They're one of the 4 teams I picked to make the playoffs this year because, yeah, Florida State's really good. And just the fact that they brought back so many players on the defensive side, you get Jared Verse, and I've said this ad nauseum. Hey, we said this on Ty's stream yesterday. Mm-hmm. You get a top 10 draft pick potential to come back and play again, to go right back and be a top 10 draft potential. You obviously doing something right, or you're paying him a lot of money to convince him to help you win a national championship because Mike Norvell, or he's got naked pictures of him in something and to hold him hostage there for one more year. I don't know what it is, but getting Jared Verse to stay and then Braden Fisk out of the portal from Wyoming, I mean, that defensive line is just absurd. And I always thought that Jordan Travis was a little bit better than Jaden Daniels. And because of that, I felt like Florida State was going to win it. Now, Florida State's run game was always my concern, but they didn't look bad in this game when it came to that. That probably shocked me more than anything. Their run game wasn't as bad as I expected it to be. And so yeah, this was a good statement game for Florida State for them to remind everybody, no, guys, we're here and we're coming. And, kind of like Coach Prime, they coming. We just can't, you can't argue it. Now Trey Benson, he had like 47 yards in that game. So run game was okay, but Jordan Travis, man, he's gonna put his name in the Heisman hat. So keep your eyes open for him making it to New York.
To your point, I do like Trey Benson though. Like I know he was largely bottled up, but I do like him. I think he's going to be a fun running back to watch this year. I agree there.
I actually thought that he would have been a lot better because of how good Jordan Travis is at moving. I thought that would have opened it up for him, but it didn't.
That worried me in the first half when that wasn't happening. Yeah, no, we're 100% on the same page.
We're right there.
Chris, how about you, man?
All right, so a couple of things. I guess I'll just start with this right here on the LSU side. I'd actually picked LSU to win this game because I just and it'll be more or less what I'm saying about FSU, but basically this right here. Ty said it during his live stream earlier this week, but I'll say it again. I don't know what they were doing with Harold Perkins. It felt a lot like Harold Perkins was playing. It felt like I was watching Nick Bonito play against Nebraska. Instead of letting him, get busy and do what he's supposed to do, he's out there just basically, playing right. He's a spy. Why would you use him as a spy? Let him headhunt. I'm not a fan of, and I know that some colleges, some places have to do it, but we watched Will Anderson last year be a victim of it. And what I mean by that is you want to scheme him all over the field. It makes no sense. Let him go and do what has basically got him in his draft stock all the way up. Let him go and hunt for heads. Stop trying to scheme and stop trying to be cute and put him all over the field. Let him go do what's going to help you. Because the thing is that the reason why I picked LSU was simply this. As great as people are calling Florida State, and they have the best win in the nation right now, the problem I have with Florida State is that they still fall into the same traps that they had last year. I watched them do it against us an awful lot last year whenever we played them. But it's simply this. Jordan Travis, most of their big plays, I'm just going to be real with you. I know Keon Coleman had 3 touchdowns. Most of their big plays are off of broken plays. Jordan Travis is just extending the plays with his legs and keeping it alive. Hits Johnny Wilson over for a 20-yard gain over the middle. Hits Keon Coleman over the middle for a 10-yard gain that turns into a 15, 20-yard gain. It's the same thing. So why wouldn't you let Harold Perkins just go and hunt him instead of just spying? Let him get after him from the get-go and put real pressure on him because you were not getting any pressure except for Wingo. And that's another thing that I would say. Wingo, I am sorry. The defensive line failed you. I know you did not have Mason Smith, but God, you were in the backfield an awful lot, but nobody could get home. But the biggest thing is, I would just say is that, I thought LSU would be better than what they were. But again, I feel like it supports my point that I've made time and time again as to Ty. I don't know why. Just claim it. Y'all are the best team in the SEC right now, in my opinion. Better than Georgia, definitely better than LSU. And the reason why I say that, especially with LSU, is simply this. It took LSU and Tennessee the game of their lives last year to beat Alabama. Let's not act like they beat them by 10, 15 points and we're talking about their coming of the age, this and that. LSU caught lightning in a bottle last year, and it's going to show. I like Jayden Daniels, but I still am not a big believer in Jayden Daniels. LSU has some serious problems that they're going to have to get over, and I think it's simply the fact that they could be stuck in that. We all know 2 out of 3 years, Brian Kelly's offense is going to be electric. But we all know that there's that 1 year where it just seems like they are just getting by, a la Everett Golston. And that's what it feels like right now in that year. So I'm not really sure what type of well, obviously they're playing Grambling this weekend. Shout out to the HBCU. But at the same time, I'm just not a fan of what I saw from LSU. It just really, I don't know. This game very slipped away from them in a big way. If you would tell me they would have lost by 21, I would have told you, nah, you're a lie, probably 10 at least. But those are kind of some of the glaring holes that I see on both sides, more or less on LSU.
Yeah, man, I want to say this, man. Jayden Daniels, I do like him as a player, but I kind of said this on Ty's channel last night. Jayden Daniels has to basically play like Lamar Jackson in this offense, meaning he is everything in this offense, and he's not that caliber player, right? He's not an Action Jackson player. He's not a Cam Newton where this offense really runs off him, which it does run off him, but he's not that much of a game changer at that position to put that team in his back and run with it, right? And so, it's unfair to him. So I picked LSU to win the game because I thought they absolutely needed this game a lot more, and I thought that they had a shot and an opportunity to maybe repeat as the SEC West champions and go to the SEC championship game. And I thought Florida State could lose a game and still make it to their championship game. Florida State winning this game pretty much solidifies to me that they're going to run the table in that conference this year. They don't play North Carolina. They got Clemson. They'll beat Clemson. They got Duke. I think those are their two games. The rest of them looks like a very favorable schedule. So I think Florida State has a chance to pretty much plow through this schedule this year. One thing I did love was, I think Chris was right on this, was that Jordan Travis did make a lot of plays with his legs once the play broke down. Yeah. But it's so good to play backyard sandlot football when you got a 6'4", 220-pound wide receiver in Coleman and a 6'7", 240-pound wide receiver in Johnny, right? And so it's beautiful backyard sandlot ball, and it's fun to watch.
Running a zone against them is a nightmare. Trust me, I know it. Trust Jay. Jay knows it as well. Defense, you're calling the perfect defense. All of a sudden, he's running out, and then boom, finds them. They just find creases in the middle. They find creases in the middle, creases towards the sideline, and then boom. One second. So, shout out to my uncle. My uncle said Clemson and LSU have the same problem: no playmakers on offense. That's a bold statement, considering everybody thinks the Neighbors for LSU is that guy. So
I like Neighbors. I like Kyron Lacey, but I don't know who said it. I didn't care to look into it, but there was someone who was saying that the Florida State wide receivers, Keon Coleman and Johnny Wilson, wouldn't crack the starting lineup at LSU.
Yes, I saw that.
Somebody said that?
Let me
I didn't see that comment.
Let me say this as someone who likes Kyron Lacey, who likes Neighbors. They're talented.
And Brian Thomas.
Keon Coleman and Johnny Wilson are different.
They're different.
Keon Coleman would start everywhere
in the country. We wanted him in Oklahoma. Bad.
Marvin Harrison Jr. and Keon Coleman on the he would he's different. He's different. He really is.
And I love Johnny Wilson though. It's just something about a guy that big shouldn't be moving like that at 6'7" and be that physically gifted. I mean, he's a huge,
almost 240 pounds.
Yes, what's he 237 at 6'7"? I mean, it's just
a tight end.
Yeah, he's a tight end, but he's playing wide out there, and it's just ridiculous.
He's a hybrid.
Ty, that's basically Seydou Traore right there.
Hey, man,
what he's trying to do.
Ridiculous, man.
Shout out. Hey, you know what? To be honest with you, shout out to Coach Hearn for having the evaluation, man, because that's a Coach Hearn product. I mean, how he even got loose from Arizona State, it's still bonkers.
Yeah. What happened at Arizona State is still bonkers. The fact that that's not talked about more. No, seriously. The fact that that's not talked about a lot more. The fact that his staff led a coup against him behind the scenes, they are so lucky that they went out and found someone like Dillingham, who, yes, they took a chance on a young guy, but somebody that at least made good hires in Samples and Brian Carrington for them to try and pick up some pieces, because I was really worried about Arizona State coming off of that. I thought they were about to just, bad.
But they look, but they rebounded well. They rebounded really well. But yeah, man, I was very I was kind of perplexed by this game. I thought it was going to be closer. I thought LSU was going to win it, but look at it, was what it was, man. Florida State has a clear path to going undefeated and winning this conference. And honestly, I don't see them really getting tested until they get to the championship game. And I think that's going to be against North Carolina.
If I could just say one thing not SEC related. What the NCAA is doing to Tez Walker is shameful. I don't know how many people are privy to that. He enters the transfer portal January 9th. They make a new rule January 11th. If you've transferred twice, you have to sit a year. They will not allow him to be grandfathered in because their reasoning is, oh, well, at a closed door meeting 4 months ago, we decided this rule, but we didn't let anybody know.
Yep.
Oh, that's BS.
Oh, and to add it in, you want to know why he transferred the first time?
What's
Because
that?
COVID took his season away from him. The team he
Oh
had
my
committed to,
God.
they weren't playing because of COVID. So he transferred to be able to play football. He transferred to Kent State, transferred away from Kent State when the entire coaching staff left to go to Colorado. They have given him their blessing, and it's the NCAA that's denied him after he entered his name into the portal before their new rule, and they're denying him the opportunity to play football. It's sickening.
That's crazy, man. That's
I'm
crazy,
sorry.
man.
Every time I get an opportunity to say something about that, that is sickening. I don't care what conference you're a part of.
Bull crap. I agree.
NCAA is so damn lazy. They always don't want to do anything. And now the time when laziness would be conducive to their success, now they want to do something. I don't get it.
That's crazy, man. They don't do anything. Look at the stuff in basketball, man, up in North Carolina with everything that went on there that they just let happen and they didn't give a damn. It's crazy, man. Let the kid play. Let the man, sometimes sports is all these kids have sometimes, man. Like this is kind of all they have. It's a lot of the times, a lot of these young men, all they have is the game that they play. And if you take that away from them, I would hate to see if some of these guys got to go back to the environments that they came from. You would not want to see what they would have to be exposed to and what they might have to do to survive. The NCAA got to get this shit together. It is what it is.
I mean, look, we sound like a broken record.
Yeah,
because NCAA got a lot of stuff to get together, man.
it's crazy, man.
It's sad that this is the not even remotely the first time we've broached this subject as a group.
Yeah,
The
it's true.
empire, man.
It is. All right, folks. That was the last game. It's 8:00. I know Ty, you got a show to do, right?
No, I'm actually free for the evening. I got a lot of preview and prediction videos to release tomorrow.
Can we devote just 10 to 15 more minutes if we can? Because look, I can't let it.
No,
Look,
they got shows to do.
oh,
Yeah.
I can give you 5 minutes, Chris. I can give you
man, just
5
give
more.
me 5 minutes. Give me 5 minutes. First off, JD Piquel, I love your stuff. I love your content. You're a clown. Do not do that. OU upset alert against
Easy.
SMU.
Don't be too hard on my boy.
It's gonna be a fun game. I'm sure that there's gonna be a lot that we learn about what we need to work on or whatever the case may be. But I think we're gonna be fine. But
I don't have
okay.
y'all on upset alert, but easy on my guy.
Yeah. Okay. I'll let her do that. Cause
I'd say tell your guy to be easy on us.
Yeah,
Because I know he did it just to get views from OU people because OU fans hate watch everything for some reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw that today and I said, what? Anyways.
So what do you
all
want me
right.
to give me my 2 minutes and let Nick give his 2 minutes?
Yes, that's what I want to hear. That's what I came here for.
Okay.
Where's the beef? Where's the
Nope.
smoke?
Well, I think you're going to be disappointed if you're looking for that, but I'll put 2 minutes on the clock, just like this is a rebuttal, and we'll go. Look, what we saw from week one, Alabama's got to clean up some of the communication on the offensive line, but there is a transition that I believe will be made on right guard, which is ironic because it's very akin to what we saw from the Texas Longhorns, right? A little bit of communication errors from their offensive line, but from what I've been hearing, from what I've noticed, it's more stemming from a personnel thing where they feel like they can get it figured out. So I would anticipate both offensive lines feeling much better about where they are going into next week, a little bit more sure of themselves, and it's week one. In terms of how can Alabama find success in this game, the easy answer is get to Quinn Ewers, make him uncomfortable. There was an interesting post talking about how Quinn, and he has in road games been pretty good, but it's a little bit misleading because in true road games, Quinn has struggled. In games where it's not neutral site, when he has to have 100,000 fans, which, by the way, the biggest audience he's ever played in front of is 90,000, you're looking at about 101,000 plus at Bryant-Denny. He's never been in a hostile environment like that. When we're talking Quinn Ewers in true road environments, he is as follows: 19 of 49, 319 yards, 3 interceptions. you can make him look very human. You have to weather the storm. Steve Sarkisian is going to put together a beautiful opening script. You cannot be dissuaded by it. You cannot be dissuaded by the eye candy. One area I do like Alabama better this year, I know there's no Will Anderson. The inside linebackers this year for Alabama are incredibly more athletic than last year's inside linebackers. Henry To'oTo'o, Jalen Moody, love them both, but they do not possess the athleticism of Deontay Lawson, and I think that was very obvious during the course of the game. I don't think this is going to be a blowout either way. This is going to be a tough game. Their defensive line versus our defensive line, vice versa. Who wins? I have Bama by 7 to 10. That's my 10 minutes.
All right, so my 2 minutes, and me and Ty kind of talked about this already for the past couple days, is this game is going to come down to whose defensive line is going to abuse the other team's offensive line the most. If you watch the Bama game this week, Bama's offensive line had a little bit of weaknesses I was kind of surprised at, and it kind of makes sense why I think Bama was putting a lot of, tweets out there about how big their offensive line is. It's almost like an intimidation factor. When I saw it on the field, I was like, oh wow, it's not what I thought it would be. And I think that the Texas defensive line can give them a lot of push, just like last year. You can laugh all you want, Chris, but last year, Texas's defensive line held Alabama's line in check and held that rushing game in check too. Now, the interior offensive line here for Texas is getting shuffled up here this week. That's what, like everything's coming out now. But Bama's strength right now too is their defensive line too as well. So it's a matter of whose defensive line is going to impose their will on the other team's offensive line. It's going to be very interesting. That's where the game is going to be won. I think the Alabama DBs and the Texas wide receivers is a wash. I think the Alabama wide receivers and the Texas DBs is a wash. It's going to come down to the offensive line play, and I want to see what Jalen Milroe is going to do if Texas can contain him and make him a true passer. I think the game's going to be a lot closer than what people are going to give it to. Last year, we had the same thing. We had the same questions. Texas didn't look that great in the first game. Quinn threw a pick on his second pass of his first game ever, and we're going to get watched by Bama. It was a 2019 game down to the second. I got Quinn doing this thing this game. I got faith and sorry. If it doesn't happen, then I got something to say next week. You can kill me next week, Chris. I got 24-20 Texas in Bryant-Denny. It is what it is.
Nick, you better hope y'all win. hey, like they said on Tombstone,
all right, we got to go. I got to go, Chris. I got another show to record.
Same. I'm about to go live in about 15 minutes. So anybody here on the
live to at 8:30.
We're going live at 8:30. So pull up.
All right, man. Appreciate you guys, man. Hey, look, I got a call-in show on at Nino's Corner Sports on YouTube. It's going to be a call-in. People call in, dial in. It's going to be like a Paul Feinbaum show today, kind of, testing some stuff out. And I just want to hear everybody's drunk opinions. It's going to be a lot of fun.
You got a line?
Huh?
You got a line to call?
And I'm going to be on the couch watching Hulu. Yeah. Catch me there.
There you go.
Yeah. All right, guys.
All right, guys. We'll see you, man.